Ladies and gents, home studio reaction. This is Did the USSR have millionaires? By the channel History Matters. The USSR doesn't exactly scream rich people live here. Yeah, I mean it's Soviet, right? That's the whole point of that. That was their whole ideology, like place for people, right? No more ultra rich, no more luxurious things, that kind of shit. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to millionaires, billionaires, whatever, to be in USSR. I'm pretty sure there would have been, right? Because it can't be government run everything, right? I bet there were key important people who got rich enough to be millionaire. I don't know. So yeah, but given the human ability to make themselves rich no matter the odds, surely could have happened there too, right? Yeah, I mean I'm pretty sure it would have been. I mean, look, Russian oligarchs that we hear about all the time. Basically, oligarchs started when the Soviet Union fell, right, in 1990s. Around that time, lots of state assets, were contested. There was a race to take them, and obviously, lots of USSR officials, right, had the upper edge to it, right. So lots of them became the richer, and we know them as Russian oligarchs right now. So we do know that after the Soviet Union fell, they were there. But before that, does anybody know any famous rich people from there? I don't know. I'm pretty sure there must have been. So let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. So I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the reaction. This link is check out the check out the link. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stalin would have been millionaire, right? Millionaire, billionaire, whatever, or somebody like that who was in power. But yeah.
When you think of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, you probably don't think of millionaires. The Soviet Union was, after all, a communist country built upon the ideals of economic equality.
Yeah.
That said, human beings like to do their own thing, and getting rich in a country that you're not supposed to is hardly unimaginable. So did it ever happen? Were there any millionaires in the USSR, and if so, how did the people there react?
And yeah, the Soviet was such a, I guess, simplistic type of way, like, luxuries were seen as like a evil thing, right? I mean, I remember Soviet cars and how bland they look because it's car for the people, right? You don't need fucking some luxurious car or something, right? So around that time, if there were some millionaires, I'm pretty sure they would have been like, down the low, like not so famous one, right? Because if it's famous, like government would crack down on you or something. I don't know.
So there are some difficulties in answering this question since there were limitations on how money in the Soviet Union worked. For example, quantities of cars, toilet paper and foods were strictly controlled, and so getting more of these was reliant on political connections, not cash. And also, it's not like you could be so rich that you could retire early, since for most, lengthy unemployment was against the law. That said, if you had the political connections and the right job, you could live a pretty comfortable life, comparable to millionaires in the West. For example, many high-ranking ministers who served under Stalin had very little concept of money, since as government ministers they could ask for something and simply be brought it with no money leaving their pockets. One funny anecdote which demonstrates this is from when Stalin and his ministers were going for a walk around Moscow, and doing so they saw an old lady struggling to cross the road. Stalin helped her to cross and then wanted to give her some money to help her out. One problem though, neither Stalin nor his ministers carried any money with them since they never used it and the old lady got squat. Anyway, to answer the question as to whether or not there were any people who had the equivalent of $1 million openly in the USSR, the answer was yes, although it didn't happen until very late in its life. After Gorbachev had reformed the economy to allow some private enterprise, some people started to make a lot of money, particularly from importing luxury.
Yeah, I mean, when the video I saw from one of the channels that talked about how Pepsi, then Pizza Hut, and basically Western companies started to get into the Russian business, right? And basically they were becoming more and more like, companies and private individuals, right? I mean, around that time in the, early 90s, you would see like, okay, the things are becoming more Western in a way compared to the how Soviet Union was. So yeah, people start to get rich there. But yeah, I love the Stalin and basically their employees. Like, first of all, the money, the money concept of money in USSR was inside the USSR. There were no global trading there in USSR. So basically, money don't mean shit if you are the fucking leader of that. Right? I'm Stalin. I don't need money. Right? I'll just say it and I'll get it. Right? So that's pretty fucked up when you think about it.
factory goods from the West. And one man who did this was Artyom Tarasov, who in 1989 declared on television that he was the first person in the USSR to be worth millions of rubles. Which wasn't millions in terms of US dollars, but given that for most Soviet citizens their yearly wage was between 1,500 and 3,000 rubles, it was a lot. So how did the Soviet people react? Well, very well, and they all congratulated Tarasov on "just kidding," they were outraged. Protests sprang up in major cities, politicians denounced the acquisition of capital on that scale, and many called for Tarasov to be imprisoned. His accounts were frozen and the KGB launched an investigation into him, but ultimately they found nothing, and so he was allowed to go back to his business, and soon after he became a millionaire in the traditional sense. Now, not a lot is known about Tarasov and his business, but what is certain is that his relations with the Soviet government were pretty awful, and it wasn't long until he fled the country and eventually settled in the UK. Despite all of this hubbub though, more and more Soviet citizens became wealthier and wealthier over the next 2 years. And when the USSR collapsed and many public assets were sold off, it was these people, mostly, who brought shares in them and whose wealth then subsequently exploded, giving some of the post-Soviet states.
Well, I'm pretty sure lots of, I remember reading that somewhere, that lots of USSR official kind of had the, upper hand when it's about, acquiring lots of assets after USSR fell. And lots of them even became the oligarchs, basically, richer. I mean, it's just basically like, some form of a nobility type of thing of the past, right? Like some kind of a, some kind of a baron or something, a baron's son or something, basically having an edge because his baron's son or something. This is kind of similar to that. They were part of USSR officials, right? So when, the race to acquire assets happened, they had the upper edge and became richer.
It's the oligarchs that they're known for. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons: James Bizanet, Kelly Moneymaker, Marvin Cassow, Mo, Rob Waterhouse, James Castaneda, Jerry Lambton, Gustav Swan, Aaron the White, Jordan Longley, Marcus Arsner, Charles I, Rashid Ali.
Oh my god. I think it was the video that, the other video I'm talking about, right? About the Pepsi and Pizza Hut thing. From the channel, I forgot the name of the channel, some letters, FK something, I don't know, NFK something. But in that I saw the actual photo that Stalin photoshopped, apparently, but painted over, right? There was no Photoshop. But that was so ridiculously good. Like, holy shit, who painted over that, right? Like, you would not see, like, there was some guy here and it's painted over. You would not see that. That was just ridiculous. But yeah. So did the USSR have millionaires? I mean, obviously the people in power. I mean, money is just a concept. I mean, it depends on where you're talking about. USSR, I mean, money only mattered inside the country and not globally, basically. And if you have power inside the country, you don't need money. You're basically millionaire, billionaire, whatever. So people like Stalin and their official, main USSR officials, whatever, yeah, they were probably like millionaires or something. But yeah. Alright people, that was Did the USSR Have Millionaires by the channel History Matters. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Comment if you want to react to a specific video from this or any other channel. And yeah, I'll see you next time.